I did. Let's see, I did. Okay. All right. Hi, all. Let me start sharing the screen. It'll work this time. Chrome window. This. All right. Can you all see the notes?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, all right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to our first post KubeCon meeting. It's wonderful to meet some of y'all at KubeCon. It was a great time. Lots of cool conversations, cool people. Very tiring. I needed to disappear to the woods for a few days afterwards. But back at it, ready to go. So I think I don't have any. I'm just trying to join. I don't know that I have any specific. I'm trying to think of any specific announcements. Oh yes, so I'll post these. So a couple of things that happened at KubeCon. We announced and open sourced our our AI, our agent registry. I just posted in the chat. This is basically a product from Solo. It's kind of I don't know if y'all had seen the different registry projects happening from MCP, but essentially this is we view this as an important part of the overall story within within the overall story of how companies are going to deploy AI applications across their different environments. So this is sort of one place. It kind of what we're going for was somewhere between a Docker and Cloud Foundry experience for agents and tools. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. We're going to
skills. Don't forget.
And skills. Sorry, skills. Peter is our most skillful. No, I'm just kidding. So I would definitely check that out. It's still early, but the idea is it basically has a deploy functionality. Now, right now it's only local, but the idea is to add Kagent as a deployment backend for the registry quite soon. So it's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. If anyone hasn't already heard about it or checked it out, I posted the website. That probably has links to blogs and etc. What else? In terms of Kagent, we added skill support to Kagent. The UI for that, I think, went in and I did a release. So if anyone is curious about playing with skills, I highly recommend it. It's a kind of a new way to think about adding context and tools to the agent. And alongside that, we also added code execution. So now you can execute code directly within Kagent within a sandbox. So if that's your jam, still scares me, but people seem to be into it. So obviously there's more details to be figured out, like what dependencies get lodged in there and stuff like that. But it's cool to check it out. So that I think is it for me. I'll be looking over existing PRs and issues that were created over the last 2 weeks to try and catch up on what's been going on. Colin, I saw that the TLS PR went in. That was yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that should be in a release now. That'll be in 0.7.5. So I'll just be going over what I've seen. Cool. Anyone else have anything they want to specifically talk about before we jump into the agenda items for today? All righty. Actually, I skipped a step. We have some new folks. I see some new names here. So I usually leave some time at the beginning of the meeting for new folks to introduce themselves, if they want to potentially tell us a little bit about themselves. Again, only if you're comfortable / want to. So I'll leave the window or leave the mic open for a minute or for a few seconds to see if people want to say something.
Yeah, I'll introduce myself. I work with Colin at Ancestry. My name's Josh. Sorry, and so we love the idea of Kagent. We presented to our architect this past week. He loves it, so we're ready to just jump in full force with it and really jump into the community.
Hell yeah. Great to hear. Yeah, Colin and I and what was your coworker's name?
Uh,
Nagardin.
Yes.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is. Hey.
Hi, yeah. So let me introduce myself. I'm Nagarjun. I work with Colin too. And then we love the concept of the agent and like having a platform for deploying agents. So we would like to contribute more to the project.
Awesome. Yeah, super excited to have y'all.
And
As I
Josh
said,
was a
we
little humble there, but he he doesn't exactly just work with us. He's also our boss. So
got it. The boss is here. Well, Josh, I met Colin and the garden at the at KubeCon. It was awesome. We had a really long, cool conversation. So really excited to be working with y'all. Avi, nice to have you here as well. I'm sorry your mic's not working, but absolutely. Let me know if you have any other questions or comments, concerns. Cool. So I think we can just jump right in. I guess we'll go in order. The people posted. Colin. So OAuth. Do you wanna jump in? You wanna sort of
Yeah, I was the two biggest things. These are sort of the biggest things that we see in order to get this out to our whole company. These are the two things that our architect would like to see happen, which I think we kind of agree. We weren't sure if there had been any more discussion outside of these issues on OAuth. This is sort of like my initial thoughts towards like where we would have wanted to go with it is we already have a Dex server. Seems like it would be easy enough to just set up that proxy and go. But I was wondering yeah, has there been any more discussion on that, or is it still sitting there?
I think it's still been sitting there waiting for an owner. So if this is a top priority, then I definitely think I think people here are talking about it and wanting it, and there's Marcin did get an example working with an OAuth 2 proxy.
Mhm.
If you're interested in that, but I think having someone to own it would be awesome. So if you're interested in that, definitely I can assign this issue to you. Um, and then I think a great start would be a design doc. And I know there's sort of a design doc here, but we have a template for a design doc, and you just I think Dex integration makes generic OIDC integration. I think definitely makes sense, and we actually have there's some code in the what's it called? Is it there is some code. There's some RBAC code in here that you can potentially hop on
Okay.
in PKG auth. And so right now it's a no op, but so there's a little bit of stuff that's already built in there, and so definitely think this would be super useful for people. So if you want to,
Yeah, we'd love to run with it. That'd be great.
yeah, I think the most important thing in my mind is that it should be pretty seamless for on the one hand, like you want people who are just coming to the project to not have to think about anything like this, right? Like it can definitely become like, oh, I need an OIDC server. All of a sudden you've lost people, right? Because it's like setting that stuff up can be a pain. So it should definitely be seamless in terms of like not needing it, but then also it being fairly easy to integrate with one once you are ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
Cool. Yeah, I don't have any other comments there. I
Okay.
think
And you're okay. I guess one of the outstanding questions I had in that was, are you guys opposed to making that OAuth proxy like built into Kagent, or do you want to see that as a separate thing? Because I saw like the other guy, I forget his name. I'm sorry.
Marcin.
Yeah. I saw he made like a separate application. My thoughts were that would make more sense for Kagent to just send that over directly.
I don't know if that was
Yeah,
just
I mean,
or
I see it both ways, right? I would like, basically in general, um, it feels like the implementation of like, you know, doing the redirects and all that stuff is pretty generic, right? There's like proxies that can do it and things like that. So on the one hand, it feels kind of crazy to have to like put all of that stuff into your app every time, right? And like, make sure that it continues to work and unit test, integration test, etc. But also, I can understand why people wouldn't want to deploy another component. So I think maybe in the design, if you could like spell out maybe the pros and cons of each, and we can just make a final decision and
okay.
not, because I don't think we should waste too much time thinking about it. Because
Sounds good. Okay.
cool. And Colin, you got the second one as well.
Yeah, it was very similar question. I saw this was a really old issue. Just wondering what, like, again, if there had been any further discussion outside of this, or if we could kind of jump in and start contributing to like a design doc or like start a conversation around that.
Yeah, this is another one that to me is complicated because how the like multi-clusters is not something that Kubernetes really thinks about at all, right? Like Kubernetes and Kubernetes APIs, like there's some projects out there that think about it, but it feels like none of them have really taken off. So I think from an API perspective, we need to be pretty careful. Like I think in my ideal world, it's almost like the concept of a cluster wouldn't leak at all into the API. You would just have like services that you deploy. You'd maybe deploy like a mini version of Kagent or maybe just an MCP server in another cluster, and you would point to that, and you'd be able to use it. I know Dimitro has thought about this as well. I don't know if he has thoughts, but he's being quiet today. So, all right. Yeah, I think this one as well. Basically, yeah, I think like, do you have multi-cluster infrastructure stuff today? Like, how are you managing your multi-cluster infrastructure? If you have multi-cluster applications, like what sort of tools are you using? I'd be curious because if you're trying to jump into this first thing, then I doubt this is the first multi-cluster application that you have.
Yeah, so like the first one that comes to mind is just Argo CD. It's how we deploy. It's like one interface for all of our clusters application deployments. And it provides a really helpful interface it abstracts the complexity away for our users rather than knowing what clusters UI they have to go to access those resources, right? They can just go to the one Argo CD UI and then go access their resources from there, interface with them. And so that's sort of the experience we were imagining we would maybe like to see for our employees as well. Just kind of abstract some of that cluster complexity so that we can still meet our organizational like deployment requirements and separation and whatnot, but then still provide a easy interface for our users to interact with.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna look into the Argo setup because I know this is like Argo. I mean, everybody's running Argo, so I think this could be a great starting point. And honestly, I have not looked at it myself, and so this is the doc that I just pulled up for y'all's. I'll put it in the chat, but this and I want to Argo CD set.
Yeah, and I should say, like, I don't even know if we're, and Josh, you could speak more to this, I think, but I don't know if we're like the key component is necessarily like multi-cluster Kagent itself, but at least for the UI to be able to sort of like federate access to multiple Kagent deployments.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Makes total sense.
He laughed. He didn't want to speak.
Also, agent, to remind you, Dennis also was talking about something like that. It was more about for the whole. Yeah, Dennis, go ahead.
But what Colin said, there is actually two approaches that I met company work with. First one is what he said. He have one Argo that deployed to all clusters, or Argo deployment per each cluster in the region. So in our case, it was be nice if I have one Kagent controller per region, but I can deploy MCPs on all of my clusters and collect and work with that MCP on each cluster for Argo, for example. So I have like one central place. But if we have one Argo for all clusters, and I need multiple Kagent controllers, I also want one distributed place like we did in the SRAD, that I, with the button, just can switch and work on different ones.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Also
So
for K-Hook, you were talking
No,
about
no.
being able to get events from multiple clusters into an agent running on a single cluster.
Yeah, it's Alpha 1.
So basically, this pattern is a known pattern. Like if we have multiple clusters, sometimes one cluster is assigned as a management cluster, which runs all of the infrastructure components, so that we don't have to run them in each one of the clusters, like Argo CD, for example. And there are other examples.
I mean, that architecture makes sense. Makes a lot of sense to me, right? Like have a management cluster with your agents, and then those agents can talk to the different clusters to get information that they need. Dimitro.
Yeah, hi. I think we also see on our examples that we tend to first use like a SaaS model, basically, you can call it, right? So when you have one central place and all other clusters just have maybe tools or something which is like available via MCP. And it's for different reasons. One reason you want to have central place for your models under control and everything. Maybe you don't want to put it like on every tenant cluster and so on. And second, you want to have this database, the sessions, and control it and collect all the telemetry and everything.
Yeah, that's an interesting model.
It's something like with Prometheus remote write architecture, that you can just put some agents on different places, but they remotely write data to one place, and you can aggregate and work.
Yeah. So to summarize, if you want enterprise agent, you will need to support this eventually.
I think the tricky part is kind of to build this permission model and how this context from remote. The easiest way, to run the things remotely, the tools are remote, so you can access it via HTTP, but then you need to secure it as well. So you need to use some layer of security, some additional TLS tokens, MTLS.
I suppose that's where like Agent Gateway would fit in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have it already, yes.
Yeah, that feels. Hmm. I think that might be the easiest. Just deploy the tools on each cluster, and then the like you can have agents that reach out to them.
Josh, do you know how that would work? I mean, we have like a lot of sensitive data in our company. I'm curious, Josh, would we need to have a separate deployment for those sensitive clusters so that they're not sending data to the agents in like a central cluster? Like, would we need to maintain that separation? Like, or could we do this sort of tool model with that in mind?
It's not working.
Yeah. That's yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that.
DVD.
Guys, if you want, I'm starting next week, like pre-production deployment in one of our regions with one controller cluster and few other environments, and I just can share our experience with what we got with.
That would be amazing if maybe
Yeah.
at the next meeting, Dennis, do you want to present, or whenever you can? I mean, whenever you can, that would be freaking awesome.
I'm starting to work from ground zero next week. Just can summarize to some MD and share it.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, I would love to hear to yeah.
Yeah, that would be
How does
great.
everyone else feel? Yeah.
Okay, can we move to the next one?
Yes. Well, hold on. Let's put a pin on this. I think basically lots more discussion. I think Colin, it'd be super helpful if you or Colin, Josh, all of y'all could come back with, because again, I think a lot of this will come down to one, like what's easier to deploy. I want to do research on the Argo thing, data, requirements, all sorts of stuff like that. So it'd be great to hear more. So I think I'll put on the agenda follow up next week. What is this follow up? Agenda. Wait, why did that not create a list item? Whatever. Aton, follow up on multi-cluster with more info. Okay. All right. Dimitro.
Yeah. So just basically very early heads up on this feature or in changes which may come. I'm looking more in this ADK Go as well as the implementation and different things. And there's potential default or we can do it as a feature flag runtime for the declarative agents. And what I noticed that in the latest ADK Go, there was a couple of changes, including the session persistent storage, which is not in memory, but actually the database in Postgres with GORM, which is very, very similar to what we have in our controller. And also I review it more closely, the schema, the result of what controller is currently generating in Postgres. And there are different potential improvements that we have, including different foreign keys, better indexes, maybe partitioning of tables, because the session table will be growing a lot, and the content of that table has a lot of blobs with all the LLM outputs and messages and things like that, right? Which needs to be managed in a way that it can survive long term.
Hey, are you saying that my implementation wasn't perfect?
No, I'm saying your implementation was not visible to us until we deploy it
you're
in
right.
Postgres and analyze after that.
Oh,
I mean,
fair.
no
Very
one's
fair.
seen it. No one's seen
Yeah.
it.
No,
I've seen
no,
it
no, you're
today first time, and I was like thinking, for example, in to connect it with the previous item. For example, we have a user ID, right, in
Hmm.
several places, but we don't have anywhere the foreign key, and we don't have any user table, which
Yep.
would probably be a nice thing to have if you use a relational database like this.
100%.
In a way, okay. So that's the only.
No.
Everything else was perfect.
No, absolutely. I bet, like, well, that part of the code definitely will need love. Like, it works, but it will need love. So I appreciate you digging into the things that need love.
It's like, I'm not saying there is like a better currently way in ADK, because they also have just a very early preview. But if you look on their session storage, some schema, it might be a good idea to kind of align it. And also, I would like to open discussion maybe for the future. If we will run multiple agents and there will be possibility to connect session to a database, maybe should we use still one central session storage session database, or potentially we may have a multiple databases per agent? I mean, that's a fair question. Currently, just maybe an open question. But
Wait, so why would you want multiple databases per agent? What would be the use case?
For scalability, maybe also for the security reasons, someone wants to have agents which are kind of separated. I don't know, for training.
Yeah.
For there are multiple potential reasons. I'm not saying that should be a default option, but just something that can be a configuration.
So maybe it's worth also just taking half a step back and saying out loud. So Dimitro and I have been talking about this ADK Go thing because I don't know how others feel about Python, but me personally, we have a complicated relationship. So basically Dimitro found this new project, and so he's investigating as well, like what it would look like to just have our agent backend in Go, because it would be much faster, much more reliable, much less magic. So obviously we wouldn't make that change quickly or without thinking through it a lot, but it's definitely something that it's definitely an interesting thing. So
yeah, and we decided to take it step by step, so we are not replacing anything without community buying it. So actually we will keep also in parallel the Python option as is, and then probably Go will be just one of the alternative runtimes at some point. With all the development skills and other things, we have some additional things to consider, like how this will work in terms of agent running these scripts and things, if it will be a Go agent. But if you imagine, I did some preliminary tests, and what I've seen, it's very nice to have one executable that you can run just locally, even without Kubernetes, and you automatically got agent with all the functionality and things running. So it's kind of has a lot of different use cases where you can run things outside, inside, for testing purposes, for kind of development experience. So yeah, so this is what I'm looking currently, and it's pretty exciting because the ADK Go, I think it will make the process much faster. And also from one of the motivation, if you look on dependency management, currently we have today, I think there will be a new MCP release. At least there is already RC version published, and then there are some new features coming in both agents and MCP. And if you need to keep in sync Python implementation with agent implementation, there are different things like background tasks, long-running tasks, which are coming as a part of that standard. And if you use one common Go runtime in both ADK, agent, MCP, it solves a lot of these compatibility issues by default.
Yeah, if you want my opinion, let's get rid of Python.
No, not entirely. Remember, Wait, Anton, there are skills, right? There are things which we need to consider very carefully.
I think
No,
he's
I
just
know.
he's being
Yeah.
cheeky. He's being difficult. We appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, no.
And in this context also, does anyone feels that we need to change the default model type, or should we continue to use like OpenAI as a default, or anyone prefer like, I don't know, Gemini or something Anthropic? What are the most used models at the moment?
I personally use Gemini 2.5. I find that one to be overall that or Claude. Talking like just overall most powerful.
Why specifically Gemini? Cannot we use the or provide the different options? All options that are available.
We provide a ton of options. That's, I think Dimitri's specifically talking about what the default is.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just seeing that more and more people are shifting towards like Google Cloud and Gemini, and ADK has some additional features which are like those evals and other stuff automatically available. Yeah.
So if you have mercy, please leave it for people who stuck with Azure and OpenAI.
That's yeah.
I will thank you from the bottom of my heart for that.
Yeah, the same thing works for me for our enterprise deployment. Yes, I need it as well.
Wait, you need Azure OpenAI support? I think
Yeah,
we have it,
yeah.
huh?
I'm using it. Yes, I'm saying that
Oh,
we need to
okay,
keep it. We need to keep
Yeah,
it there.
We're
But,
we're gonna keep everything. I mean, there's no reason we're not getting rid of anything. Like, I think it's just a matter of what's default. Honestly, yeah.
Reason
go.
why I'm asking, because the Go implementation, at least the initial, they don't have like Light LLM and other libraries. Again, they provide a Go interface for models, so it requires to write a kind of very simple wrapper on top of the official SDKs, and they already provide some of it, but not everything. So one of the tasks to get this support for this Go implementation is actually to implement all the model types that we have.
Yeah. I think you could start at OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, Claude, or Anthropic, and Gemini, and then you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah,
at that point, well, yeah. Like, once you have OpenAI, you support nearly everything anyway, because so many providers use that API.
Any comments? Any other feature requests, ideas?
I was just about to say something. Give me a sec. What was it? Oh, I would love to know. Well, actually, let's finish this up. I have another question. Yeah, no, I don't have any specific thoughts here. I'm really excited to see what this looks like when it lands as BYO. I think having other language options is going to be great. I've spent so much time debugging Python. I hope to never do that again, even though I know I'm going to continue having to. Cool. All right. The next one I want to say, yeah, so all the different clouds are coming out with agent runtimes and things like that. So I was just wondering, MCP UI. Wait, Peter, why did you post about that?
Oh, you're very late in looking at the chat.
Well,
Very late. I posted it when Dimitri was talking about the changes coming in from MCP.
can you explain what MCP UI is? I actually don't know that I understand.
That's additional support of UI components as a response.
Yes. Yeah. So it's you would
Widgets.
implement. Yeah, you would implement like UI widgets, let's say, right, in your MCP server, and then you can render them on the client. The client
awesome.
would, in this case, be Kagent. It would render the UI. It would say you could interact with the UI and then send back and forth the information, right? Like a form or whatever it is.
Yeah, and what is the most the biggest headache here if you're using like a multiple channels, if you use like CLI and you use web, you must support both for that. So probably it's pretty tricky if you want to make like those A2A chat, let's say in some other non-browser format. So
Yeah. I'm assuming in a non-browser it would just be unsupported, right?
yeah, maybe.
Like the client would say, I don't support UI, right? And then the server would not even offer up the UI. I think.
Yeah. By the way, speaking about UI, I was testing these long-running tasks, and it seems like many people really getting into that direction. When you enterprise, you probably run some MCPs which are triggering something in the background, and then you want to get back to it. In the latest MCP spec, they will support these tasks synchronously. So you can submit something and then pull the status and do other things. So you can potentially like come back to your session after a while. I think our current UI is not very friendly for this scenario. If I, for example, open a new window, I click again on agent on active session, I would not get updates on that active session. And from A2A perspective, there is nothing that stops you from having that, right? So we can resubscribe to that message queue or Eden, Peter.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we
Yeah,
need better,
it should
in
work,
general, I think
yeah.
we need better asynchronous support. You're not going to hear a pushback from me.
Yep.
Okay. Because we have some keep alives, but again, my like deeper investigation revealed that there are some places where you have like default timeouts, like 10 minutes. Some places it's not 10 minutes. It's not fully aligned across all these things. And then if your UI disconnected during these long running tasks, you lost connection. It's not reconnecting automatically, and then it's you see when you click on the session, you see that it's completed. You see all the work was done, session was completed, but your UI was kind of losing those updates.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know that so there's a way in the A2A UI, there's like a resubscribe.
Yeah, exactly. Like resume
endpoint,
resubscribe.
whatever it is. Yeah, that I think we just need to use. I just don't think we're using it today. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I think also honestly, let me put another thing. Oh my God, there's so many things. Jesus. I'm putting this one under your name, Peter.
Yay.
And
The other
because you introduced this new registry for skills, for agents,
Yes.
there is an entire domain of kind of general prompt management. And I got some feedback from some teams saying that the etcd is not the best place to store your prompts.
What?
Yeah.
Where do you want to store them?
Yeah, so there are some kind of products which are doing it in a way that they store, let's say, a prompt with all the variables, which are kind of, can be supplied. And then you can use API like, for example, compile this prompt with these inputs, and then you will get back like entire prompt, evaluated. So it's kind of externalizing the prompt as a separate, you know, entity. I would like to hear from you. What do you think about this direction as well, too?
I mean, I think it makes sense. I'm just wondering how would it be in the flow itself, right? And you know what I mean? Like, how would are these are, I'm assuming, system prompts, right?
Yeah, there are actually, if you start to look on it, there are multiple types of prompts. You can have a system prompts. You can have also the user level prompts, which you can reuse from your UI, like those commands or something potentially. Yeah, there are.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, let's say today
Let's
you
start
go,
from system prompts. Yeah.
right? Like let's say system prompts, right? Just for the sake of simplicity. If when I create an agent, I have to come up with a system prompt, right?
Yeah.
You're saying that system prompt could come from a database or some API. That's fairly
From let's call
I guess, right?
agent registry or something from the
From somewhere, yeah,
database or database. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, from somewhere, someone else can create it, and then I can just pick and choose, right? I think we could do that. That's fairly straightforward. I think the complexity comes in where you want to do the replacement, right? No, versioning, you could still version it, right? You can have multiple versions, right? And the users can pick. But it's more of, like, for me, the evaluating the template. Like, what are the inputs? Like, who and when are the inputs being filled out? You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you would need, like, multi-step prompt selection or something, where you would say, here's my system prompt. And then if the user asks for something, then you're going to use this other prompt, but extract the values from the user's response to use. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to like.
And in this case, if you look on the examples from ADK, when you have multi-agent system, they actually have the output keys. So different agents may have the output key, which is right into your session, and you can use and refer to this output key in the next iteration. Also, like
like passing the information between the agents in a way, right? Like, as a but that's not prompts, right?
No. The thing is that
those would be the values that then they get filled out.
You have, for example, one agent which is, let's say, researching something and storing the output in the output key. You have like key 1. And second agent has a prompt where it says, consider the
key 1, right?
Key 1 for this. And then the initial key will be user input. You can say, okay, this is my user input as a key, and
I understand what you're trying to say. I'm just trying to figure out how could we do that? How could a user configure that in a way? Like, it's almost like you would have to create an agent where you would say the agent is any output from this agent is going to be stored under key 1 or whatever, right? But then how do you know if that agent calls another agent, and how do you then tell that agent, hey, key 1 is the input from the previous agent, and for you to use this, go and load up that specific template from a different agent? Or from like a database or whatever.
It can be used in the current examples, and as like what ADK provides, you can use just kind of a placeholder, like variable with some kind of syntax, and we need to look on it closely.
I'm not saying it's not, like, it's definitely useful. We just need to figure out what is, like, use case plus, like, how could we expose this to the end user so they can, like, configure it and do
for now. My question was, do you think the right place for it will be like a database, or you think it should be like the agent registry or something where you have a like additional category prompts or not?
One, I do think the registry, I just pinged internally because I was like, wait, actually this is a really good idea, but MCP already supports prompts, right? So I think that the storage and the protocol are divorced, right? Like, you can store them wherever the SANL you want, right? It doesn't matter. As long as there's a known protocol to get the correct ones. I think the registry is a potentially great idea, though.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. There are prompts in the MCP spec, right? We haven't implemented anything. I mean, those are, to be honest, those are specifically for like coming from the MCP servers, right? So you would have to use that MCP server in order to get to those prompts, I guess. But yeah, yeah, definitely needs some investigation.
All right. Well, I gotta go get lunch, but this was an awesome conversation. I thought we talked about a lot of cool stuff, and I'm even more excited to jump back into everything. Is this week a contributors meeting, or is that next week? Let me look.
Well,
That's this week.
Yeah, it is Thanksgiving.
Is this
though,
week?
so.
All right. Well, that's not happening.
Oh,
'cause
wait,
it's
true.
Thanksgiving. So, are others interested? Maybe I'll move this one to next week because it's been a long time and it seems like we have a lot to talk about. Or do we want to just wait 2 weeks? What do others think about? I think on that one.
Yeah, I prefer that.
Prefer which?
Is there any holidays in US?
Next
Yeah.
week or
This week,
this
Thursday
week
and
is
Friday,
is
Yeah. So
Thanksgiving.
this week, then it's not happening, right?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Do we want to wait entirely? Like, do we want to just kill this one, or do
I
we
think
want to
due to
wait?
holidays, probably most people will
just
be
I would say next week. Just move it to
Yeah.
next week, right?
next week.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I said.
That's-
Move it to next week.
All right. I'll do it. Where's my calendar? I always lose that stupid calendar. Okay, let me move that. So this week we will move this one. Oh, will it let me? How do I maybe make this month? Oh my goodness, no, that's not going to work. All right, well, I'll figure that out offline. Once again, as I joke, calendars are the most complicated piece of software that I have to use. Cool. Anything else before we log off? Oh, well, Josh, Colin, oh my God, I'm gonna butcher your coworker's name. Nagarjun is awesome. Meeting y'all. Welcome to the community meeting. Can't wait to work with y'all further. Known faces. Ant, it's great to meet you in person. I see you got home. Hopefully, you didn't have to take a bus across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
You can share
I-
that story next time.
I even went to fix my passport today.
Good. Cool. And for everyone else, if you're in the US, have a wonderful holiday. I'll see y'all next week. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
I guess.
Bye.
Bye everyone.